And now, ladies and gentlemen, the star of our show, Mr. Joe E. Lewis.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And this is my pianist and conductor. His name is Mac, Austin Mac. Mr. Mac? Well, that wasn't too much of a hand for Mac, but he ain't too crazy about you either, so. Mr. Mac happens to be the illegitimate child of Fidel Castro. And isn't he a silly man saying that America is planning to attack Cuba? It's like Sophie Tucker saying, I think I'm going to be attacked by Frankie Avalon. Silly. Labor Day of last season, Labor Day, we went to New York at the Copacabana. And I love to work New York City in the fall. It's so thrilling to walk on Madison Avenue and see the trees turn from charcoal gray to charcoal brown. And what a kick I get when I ride the 3rd Avenue L. I know they tore it down, but I still ride it. That shows you the shape I'm in. And how thrilling it is to walk through Central Park in the evenings and watch the young lovers mugging the old lovers. Yes, there's no town like New York. I know it's torn up and dirty and violent, but deep down in my heart, ladies and gentlemen, I hate that town. And then we had a lot of fun around New York working with fellow performers like Mort Saul. He's the wildest thing in a dirty sweater since Lana Turner. And he is one comedian who doesn't go out for big laughs. He's so happy when the audience nods and says, how true, how true, how true. And I'm the same way. I don't go out for big laughs. I'm lucky if I can get a sickly grin some nights. And then there was another fellow I enjoyed, Shelley Berman, who has 2 albums, one inside Shelley Berman and the other outside Shelley Berman. He has a 3rd album called Up Shelley Berman. Wonderful album. And from New York City, we went to Dallas, Texas. And may I quote the words of a famous Texas outlaw, Neiman Marcus, who said, the world is a stage, so let's rob it. And we have a little song. A song called If This Isn't Love, It'll Have to Do Till I Get a Little Rest. Boom, boom, boom. And no knuckle, just the tips I like to hear. Now that you've elected the president of your choice, I'm sure Kennedy will do the best he can. Yes, he'll get the nation's backing, but his platform I found lacking. He promised nothing to the poor, forgotten man. There's no relief in sight for lonely nights. Not a cent will be spent for man's uncivil rights. There's freedom of speech and freedom to preach, but still no freedom for love. Potatoes will be cheaper, so will corn and rice. But show me a tomato who will lower her price. We should do away with the price we must pay for a cute young lady friend. They're helping the farmers, controlling the rents, but the price of a charmer is still so immense. We need an oversexed Congress to come to our defense. There ain't no justice, those broads are busters, unless there's freedom for love. Say, It cost me a lot every time that I get hot. I'm a man. I'm a man. This may sound like a drag, but to a neutral-minded fag. But I'm a man when I can. Since women got the right to vote, I've had one regret. At last we are free. Tried every cute suffragette. Yes, women are free, except the kind that I get. The press I'm blaming for us poor laymen. There ain't no freedom for love. Ask any bellhop. There ain't no freedom for love. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. But lady, I do hope you forgive me for taking a little drink while I'm on. That's part of my act. And besides, I'm an alcoholic. I'm not a big drinker. I just put away a lot of little ones. I mean to say, I'm not a steady drinker because I shake too much. But I take care of myself. My doctor is here, Dr. Kohler. Dr. Ted Kohler, and he tells me if I keep drinking, I'll never see a ripe old age. And I don't believe the dear doctor. Because every night I see more old drunkards than I see old doctors. So I'm going to have fun now, not when I'm old and wrinkled, but now when I'm young and wrinkled. But my doctor, Dr. Kohler, told me I have the body of a kid. A very sick, shriveled up kid. That's why I take care of myself. I go to a famous bodybuilding studio. Not Vic Tandy's, but his sister, Fanny Tandy. But I always said one thing about a guy who drinks. Show me the man who can hold his liquor, and I will show you a serious kidney condition. But le cinquième livre, le pas cinquième. That's an old friend saying. Victor Hugo said that. It means you can lead a horse to water, but if you can teach him to lie on his back and float, then you got some. But I'm glad you like the president's song, ladies and gentlemen. And I can imagine right now Mr. Kennedy in the nursery singing lullabies to his new baby boy. And it's nice to know he did a little campaigning at home, too. And there for a while, when they had that recount, supposing Nixon would have won it, who would have gotten custody of the boy? And that first debate killed Mr. Nixon. You know, remember that first debate? Nixon sat there so different, so self-assured, and so sincere. I thought the narrator was going to say, will the real Richard Nixon stand up? You know? But on that debate, Mr. Nixon looked like a guy who's going to sell a used car. And Kennedy looked like the guy who owned the lot. So, that was... And they're both good men, and I'm no Republican or Democrat. I happen to be an osteopath, ladies and gentlemen. I work around joints all my life. Well, are you ready, partner? They call me Ready Joe. Next time, not too much ice, you can get pneumonia from the ice around here. Good. Thank you. May I quote the words of Byron? Irving Byron, a bartender, you don't know him, said. He worked here, but they caught him with his Duke and the tambourine one night. And Byron said, it is easy to grin when your ship comes in and you have the stock market beat. But the lad worthwhile is the lad who can smile when your shorts are too tight in your seat. Oh, boy. That's the only way I can fix this without being vulgar. I'm sorry. Oh, the lullaby. He will sing it like this, I imagine. Rock-a-bye, baby, sleep all night through. J. Edgar Hoover is watching you. Dream happy dreams without any fears. You'll have Daddy's job in 34 years. I have a leading personality tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Last night I happened to swallow a shot glass. So I don't feel too good. But that's the way it is. Feel good. That's the main thing. I shouldn't drink. I had an operation recently. I was in Hollywood, and I got this stomach trouble, and I went to this Dr. Kohler, and not Colin, Kohler. And he's a good doctor. Goes to 4 hospitals a week. He's a very sick doctor, this fellow. And he's a very busy doctor. I sat around in his office, read all the magazines. And wasn't that awful about that Titanic? Gee, I cried. So he advised me to go to the Cedars of Lebanon Hospital. And they looked at me and examined, gave me a 50-50 chance. So I got scared. Then I went to St. John's. There, I got 8-5 over there. And I was on the operating table 5.5 hours. That's more sleep than I had in 30 years. And they cut me open, took out all the losing mutual tickets I had. And they found I had too much blood in my alcoholic stream. And if I was alive today, I'd be a very sick man. Then I was in a coma for 3 days. A coma was the name of my Hawaiian nurse, ladies and gentlemen. Beautiful girl. Beautiful girl, well-bred, and not too badly buttered either. Yeah. And if my surgeon made my incision 2 inches longer, tonight I'd be doing a sister act with Christine Jorgensen. And at my age, you're just as broad as it's long, so let's ring that. Where are your managers? Ring without me. Oh, to me? All right. Bob Hope wrote a book called, a wonderful book, Have Couch Will Travel. My uncle, Swifty Morgan, he wrote a book called How to Cheat at Polo. Polly Adler, she wrote a bestseller, A House Is Not a Home. I understand she's writing a sequel called A Tart Is Not a Cake. But I always respect Polly Adler. She kept a kosher house all her life. I wrote a book about income taxes, how to have a larger income and still pay the same amount of taxes. And I dedicate this book to the Internal Revenue Department. I call the book Up Your Bracket. Let me gotta return. This is mine, that's all. But people write books and songs. And the reason I'm bringing this song business up, because there's a new trend in music. Folk songs. Songs about people, how they love, how they work. And lately I find love pretty hard work. But I'm just on a losing streak, that's all it is. Would you believe it, I called up Butterfield 8 and Eddie Fisher answered. But songs about places, folk songs about places where people cry and play, like Santa Anita, Hialeah. I'm talking about my people. You know, in the early 1800s, when folks used to travel across this land in covered wagons, they sang folk songs like these. Oh, marry me not to that lone ferry. Well, they're all kind of folks, you know that. And show me a home where the buffalo roam, and I'll show you the dirtiest home you ever saw. Strange as it may seem, Stephen Foster, who wrote some of the greatest folk songs, never knew his real folks. He had foster parents. And he wrote songs. Oh, I'm fast tonight. He wrote songs like, beautiful dreamer, that's what I am. I dream in the bedroom, I dream in the camp. I dream while I'm working, I dream while I play. I better throw my marijuanas away. And you know, it's so shocking when you pick up a newspaper nowadays and read about marijuanas and juvenile delinquency. Jiminy crickets. When we were kids, nobody ever heard of juvenile delinquency. We were full-fledged criminals. And I admit once I did smoke a marijuana, but that was by mistake. I thought it was opium. Mistake. These are the first songs Stephen Foster wrote. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, Susanna, don't blame that on me. Some guy from Indiana put that kid upon your knee. May I quote the words of Shelley, or Keats, or any handicapper. But I think it was Shelley who once said, show me a drunkard without his false teeth, and I will show you a gummy rummy. But the greatest folk song that Stephen Foster ever wrote, that will live on and on until the night. I'm coming, and my head is bending low. 'Cause thanks to Mantan, folks all call me the Black Joe. But the #1 folk song on the hit parade today, a song called John Henry. You'll know it when you hear it. It goes like this. Get out of the John Henry. I knew you'd know that song. At this part of my act, I'm supposed to run off the stage and then come back and take a bow and make a federal case out of it. I don't want those musicians to blow their lips, you know. So I stay here and I'll give you some Metricol. It's my new drink, Metricol and gin. You see pink elephants just the same, but they're much thinner. Last year I changed my drink. I drank vodka with carrot juice. You get drunk just the same, but you see better. Isn't it funny nowadays all the heroines play streetwalkers, and like Susie Wong, Butterfield 8, Never on Sunday, the 3 matinees on Saturday, you know. And you notice that lately. Years ago, all the big actresses like Jennifer Jones and Loretta Young, Ingrid Bergman, they always rushed to play sisters in the convent. Now it's a cycle. Everybody's a Scarlet Woman. What a switch from none to fun. Isn't that awful? Oh, gosh.